Hey, what's happening, everyone? Pragmatic Addict here. So I just got back from seeing Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna be completely honest. This was a movie that I didn't give too much thought for until when I started hearing about it. Until I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, holiday slasher from Eli Roth. The only thing that got me excited for this film was what I saw in the trailer, which was gnarly fucking kills. And when I started to actually give a shit about it more, I was like, okay, Eli Roth horror. This is going to be gnarly. It's based off of a Grindhouse joke trailer. It's gonna get wacky. He's gonna go all out in Eli Roth horror. And with further, knowledge about this movie when it got closer to release, was that it was gonna be touching more on, the 90s teen slasher. And holy shit, did I underestimate how much of that it was going to go for. So I was kind of extremely excited for this film the closer it got to release. So let's just not waste any more time, guys. I really want to talk about this movie because there's a lot of, I wouldn't say ups and downs, but there's a lot of stuff that I'm equal on as far as mixed takes on it. So right off the bat, what I will say is that I was a little bit worried about this film after the first 15 minutes because what I will say is that coming from an Eli Roth film, with it also being a slasher, with more or less how anticipated this film was, with it being based off of a Grindhouse film that people, or a Grindhouse trailer that a lot of people actually wanted for a long time, and with it being his first film in some time, with it being a slasher, we come to expect is if you're knowledgeable and if you respect and if you're experienced with slasher films, that there's generally a big intro that kind of sets you up for the tone, what kind of a slasher this is going to be, maybe what its main direction is going to be. But I gotta tell you guys, the first 15 minutes I was really worried about everything. None of the humor was landing, none of the characters I gave a shit about. There wasn't really a huge grab as far as story and direction and a big goal as far as what this slasher was going to be, or even as far as getting the audience settled in for a slasher of this nature, of this anticipation that we might be hoping for. And admittedly, it had me even more worried about how the actual heart of the film, this being a slasher, how that was actually going to land. Which, thankfully, I can say, the film just has a little bit of a slow start. Not even the second that the kills start, but the second you see this killer and his mask, and you see him just doing stalker, killerish stuff, everything felt right, and everything, well, most things, again, if you're familiar and if you're, entertained by and to have a knowledge and experience of shitty teen slashers, most things land, in the very least, entertainingly. Is that a word? Entertain? They land entertaining for what they are. And going into the actual kills, they're lengthy. They feel like they're actually part of a script. They're earned. And just as a bonus, a lot of the deaths in the film were characters that we were like, okay, I don't like this person. Fuck this guy. If anybody's getting axed off in a Eli Roth horror slasher, I want them to make the best out of these characters. And no pun intended, he killed it. Everything from the gore to the actual playoff and the escalation and the climax of the kills, to even how ridiculous it gets as a self-aware campy slasher and a horror film from Eli Roth. Everything from that, with the dark humor, morbid humor that comes with that, it all landed just fine. Another fun aspect about this film is that obviously there are going to be random kills with every slasher, but something that I liked about this film is that you knew more or less who might be on the actual kill list, because basically where the slasher part of the film comes in is that there are all these teens hanging out, all these friends and everything, when suddenly they all get tagged in an Instagram post that's a Thanksgiving post from an anonymous user. It shows like a Thanksgiving feast, like at a table with all of their names on it. So you're like, okay, all these people are involved. These people are all on the kill list. Now, obviously, it's not like in any specific order, but if you so happen to hate one of the people whose names were on that post, you're like, okay, I'm looking forward to you getting fucked. One thing I will say, though, is that the plot surrounding everything, it is just kind of frustratingly stupid. Like, for example, how I said, like, the first 15 minutes, like, it kind of doesn't feel like it's leading too much, but it actually, like, where the film's big intro bang is that I was mentioning earlier, well, it all leads into a Black Friday craze, and I shit you not, guys, let me, like, really lay out how frustratingly ridiculous this film's, like, surrounding bullshit actually is. So the first death we see is of a person who was actually at this Black Friday craze. Mind you, there's, like, hundreds of people, and you want to know how this all starts? A detective is investigating the death of this person, and I shit you not, he says, well, this person was at this Black Friday sale. Again, hundreds of strangers, hundreds of people, it's Black fucking Friday. Well, anyway, he's like, this person that was murdered was at this Black Friday sale. That means that everybody else that was at that Black Friday sale is all in danger. And I'm like, there is no relation to anything else other than the fact that this one person of this humongous crowd was brutally murdered. What kind of fucking detective are you? But seriously, most things in between these kills, it's just really kind of dorky and cringy. I think the best thing I can say about it is that it is entertaining to whatever degree you can take about it. Again, in that 90s teen slasher way. On a side note though, positive one, there isn't a huge wait time in between the kills, so I mean that's also good. But now, one thing I do want to say, which is kind of a mixed take, kind of like how I had warned you guys earlier. So this kind of goes against my argument that the characters didn't do much for me, but again, it kind of leans more toward a positive way, that 90s teen film where when the film, like there are certain times where you can clearly see that the film is trying to lean into that campy, like, goofiness of, you know, films like that, you know, things like Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I will say, surprisingly, it landed really well than when it was actually trying to be serious. And going back into, like, the movie in a more traditional slasher sense, especially with how weak the film initially landed for me in the beginning, one thing I always look forward to in slasher films are the chase sequence. And I wasn't even sure if there was gonna be chase sequences in this film. Not only if this was gonna be a good movie, but I didn't even know what kind of film this was gonna, like, land for me with how it started. But I gotta say, guys, there are chase sequences in here that was all that I was fixated on. I totally forgot I was in a crowd in a theater sitting next to Jacob right next to me. They don't really do anything new. They just, for someone who is like aware of the films that he's trying to replicate, Eli Roth, the tension is solid. The like ambience is really solid. The length and like pacing of the scene and the escalation. Again, when the film is focusing on what we are most excited for, it does a great job. And lastly, this is a very common irk, I guess, when it comes to like last acts, is that a lot of times they don't really land well for me. And this film's last act is frustrating in every way that you can think of. It feels rushed, it feels clumsy. Even like another thing that I'm really excited for with slashes like this is like, who is the killer? Who are they? Why are they doing it? It was one of those things where, like, throughout the movie, there was plenty of times where I was like, okay, is it that person? Is it that person? Because while this is a, like, more or less teen slasher, this also takes place in a whole community, a whole town. So there was a lot of people where I was like, I really, at times, didn't know who it might have been. But there was a point where you can see that the film was trying to just get it done with. It was trying to just wrap the film up. And I think it hinted a little bit too hard, a little bit too early on who the killer might have been. And I'm just gonna say, I got it before it was revealed, and it was a little bit disappointing, and it just felt a little bit clumsy and cliche. But again, all in all, the things I was most excited for, like, of this film, just as a horror slasher fan, you know, chase sequences, like a whodunit kind of thing, and with an Eli Roth slasher at that. The film was just a lot of dumb fun in every self-aware, campy, horror way possible. And overall, I would still give this movie a pass.
Let's see.
Guys, that is going to do it for my review of Thanksgiving. Overall, I think it is very reminiscent and very, like, self-aware, and just another fun, dumb slasher to add to your collection. But yes, guys, that is going to do it for this review. I have a early screening of the new Disney film Wish, I believe tomorrow. So look forward to that coming out next, guys. But let me know what you guys thought about the review, as well as Thanksgiving down below. Did it satisfy your guys' expectations? Was it worth the wait? Let me know, guys. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great night. Take care.